Hey guys, it's Ryan with MyListing Club. In this video, we're continuing on with our educational series with how to build an online business with the MyListing WordPress theme. In the previous video, we talked about typography and global styling with Elementor. Since that video, I've determined my color scheme for this new starter site, and we'll be looking at doing the typography together, which is the system fonts. And I'm also going to show you the Favicon that I came up with and how I came up with it, with a tool that I forgot to mention in the previous video, but I'll show you now. I have since added it to the project template so everyone can get a hold of that. It's a really cool little free tool, which you'll see. We'll be working from the MyListing Project Template as we have in this whole video series. It's a template that you can get from the MyListing Club website, mylisting.club. And if you scroll down the home page a bit, you'll see a card here, MyListing Project Template. Click on that. It'll walk you through what this thing is. There's literally a walkthrough video there, but you don't really need that because you're going to see it firsthand today and as part of this whole video series. You can get your hands on this template as a one-off purchase or when you purchase any starter site. If you want to get this on an ongoing basis and get all my updates as they come out, you can sign up for the Ultimate Club membership or a care plan. Okay, those are the two ways to get this on demand basis. Okay, I'll go ahead and drop this off. Here we are looking at the project template, and we're picking up where we left off. In the last video, I didn't delete the task cards as I normally do because I knew we would be circling back and looking at these again together on the site. One thing I do want to mention is the Favicon. As we see here in the tab here for this new starter site, the starter site is going to be called Fit. It's going to be a fitness website. So I created this Favicon, and I wanted to show you this tool. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Yeah, here we go. So this is the tool I use sometimes, and sometimes clients want me to use it for their sites when they don't want to spend time coming up with the Favicon. So for this one, I just wanted to do a text icon. So you just click on this box right here, and you just type in your text. So I typed in fit, and changed the font to Montserrat. You can obviously use whatever you would like here. Let's see. There we go, Montserrat, and I just went with normal black, so the boldest I can get. I did a font size of 65, and it's not the exact color, but I put in my actual brand color in here. Sorry, not that one. Over here on the right for the background color. And there you go. It's pretty much all there was to it. You click download here, and it's going to give you all the files that you need. Okay? So that's how I did that. I wanted to share that with you guys. Like I said, I added a link to this in the project template. All right, so circling back to our project template, we are looking at typography. And I've already gone through what all this is, so I'm not going to do that again. But together, we're going to work through together on doing the system fonts. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my guide for this. All right, so this guide walks you through what system fonts are, the benefits of them, all of that sort of thing. We're not going to go through setting a baseline for performance and all of that. We're just going to get right to the heart of this, and that's just implementing this. Before I do that, let me get logged in here. 1 second, let me get logged in. All right, there we go. We're logged in. Let's get rid of that. All right, let's go ahead and bring up a page here. Let's edit the home page. Let's edit that with Elementor. Let me also show you what this looks like on the front end. So as you see, there's nothing has really been done to this site. I mean, very little. Aside from nothing has been done aside from what we have discussed in this whole video series. But as you see, super basic. There's nothing here. There's no importing of the demo or anything. We're building this sucker from scratch. Okay, so it looks pretty bland and boring right now. So editing the homepage here, let's just drop in a heading. This, if you saw the previous video, this will look familiar. Let's do an H1 on this. H2. We won't go through all of these. We'll just do H1 and H2, and then we'll do a we'll drop in a paragraph here, some body text. Okay, and we'll save that. Actually, let me go back and make sure. This was done in the previous video. I just forgot to do it again. I basically did another fresh install and got things where I wanted them to be as far as a base goes. Yeah, so I think that's good. I think that's where we need to be. Let me refresh this one more time. Okay, there we go. That looks better. Okay, so if we go to the site settings. So it's the hamburger menu and the Elementor side widget or side panel there. Site settings. If we look at global fonts here, this is what Elementor will set out of the box. We're going to reset these. We're just going to clear these out. And then we're going to drop back and we're going to look at typography and just, yeah, so nothing's in there. That's good. Let's refresh this. Let's go to our home page on the front end. So now if we inspect these, I use Hoverify. There's a deal on the club website to get this. It's already a very inexpensive plugin, but you can get a discount through the club. I use this every day, this browser extension. So we fire Hoverify up, we click inspect, and if we look at H1, we see that it has just has a sans serif. Doesn't really have anything associated with it font style wise. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's also add a MyListing element to this. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and just do. We'll do. So it looks more realistic. This is my heading. This is my H2 heading. And we will leave that for now. And let's just go ahead and drop something in here that has to do with MyListing. Let's just do a basic search form. Trying to think what's the easiest way to get some fonts in here from the MyListing site. Let me go back and look at some of these elements again. All right, let's do a MyListing page heading. Let's don't go to the search just yet. There we go. So this is a MyListing page heading search page heading widget here. Okay, so let's do. This is my MyListing heading. Let's call it heading. Okay, we'll save that. Refresh our home page here. So again, if we inspect this with Hoverify, same thing, sans serif, still pulling in sans serif there. Thought it would pull in the default Glacial Indifference font from the theme. Yeah, maybe we've already taken care of that. Typically, you got to do a little bit more work to get rid of that. Let's check these other elements here. No, maybe that does it. I don't remember it doing that in the past. That maybe I'm just brain farting that. But it looks like it's cleared out the Glacial Indifference font. So I'll go ahead and take this out. All right, let's just continue on with the system fonts. If we run into a situation where we see the MyListing default font pop up and work harder to get rid of it, we'll do that. So really simple to implement the system font stack. You just copy this code snippet. I'm going to install WP Codebox. This is another partnership with the club. Highly, highly recommend this plugin. It's what we're going to use to drop in this code snippet. Okay, WP Codebox is activated, so we just go over to WP Codebox. We are going to do a new snippet. It defaults to doing a new snippet. We'll just call this Master CSS. We'll change the type to CSS. And we'll leave all the other settings alone for now. We just want this to run on the front end. And we're going to drop that code in, save our snippet, and then enable it. So those are the two steps you have to take there, okay? So then let's go back to the front end, refresh. Remember, these said sans serif. And where that's coming from is if you go to site settings and then global fonts, you'll see right here the fallback font family is sans serif. So that's because we have nothing specified for our fonts. So that's where that's coming from. All right, so let's go ahead and refresh this again. Hoverify, inspect, still sans. Oh, there we go. So that flipped over. We see the Apple system there. Apple system there. So that tells us that the system fonts have kicked in. Cool. So just that easy. You've now done system fonts across your website. Pretty cool stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and let me keep this up here on another screen. All right, we'll keep that up there in case I need to reference font joy or type scale. But let's see, let's go to our global fonts here. We don't need to do this because we've done system fonts, so we're good there. Potentially the same here. We'll keep these up here as we go along. We may not need to get into this heavily, but we will need to get into this with size as we start building this. So as an example, so this, as we see here on the home page, let's start up the blog page, for example. All right, so on here, let's just say we drop that same H1 heading into here. And we'll drop the H2. So as we go along, let's say we realize that our H1, we want it to be, bigger across the board. So then we can jump over into our site settings, and we can get into the global fonts. We don't have to specify an actual family in here, so we can actually just set this to be default. But maybe we want to make it text bold. But we see there that it doesn't do anything because of the system fonts. But now let's look at the typography under theme style. Sorry, my mouse is doing some crazy stuff. There we go. So now we can see we can adjust that there. So let's say we want to go with 70 for that. We save that. We refresh our blog page. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Refresh our blog page. Refresh our home page. So now we see how we can take that, apply that theme style across our entire site just that quickly. So yep, still using system fonts. We're using the font size that we just specified. So you just keep working on down there through this until you see how it looks, and you make sure that it looks the way you want. If we inspect this on mobile, so within your let's get out of the site settings. Within Elementor, you can set the responsive mode or check your website on responsive mode. So you click this icon in the Elementor panel there, and then up here you can, if you didn't know this already, sorry if you already know this, but you can test everything, see how it looks on your mobile devices. Sorry, I'm fighting with my video thing here. Yeah, so you just as you go along and you're building your site, you just gotta can adjust this as you go. Like you come through here and you may say, oh, I realize that my H1 is too small or too big. So go back into site settings, typography. You can drop this down, and you just keep working through it, and you find the happy balance for how you want this all to go. And like I said, if you want to adjust it, you want to look at it, make sure it looks good on all mobile devices. So you just got to keep working through it and find that combination that works for you. Okay. So what I'm going to do is offline. I'm not going to record the whole process because it's going to take me a while to decide what I want to do myself. But at some point you'll obviously see what I came up with, and I'll share that with you. All right, so let's see where we're at here. Typography. So I will be going through myself. We did the system fonts. I myself offline, I'll be going through FontJoy and Typescale to figure out what I want to do there. Global fonts, I just showed you. We'll look at that one more time before we call that particular task a go there or finished. We saw that under global fonts, this particular, it doesn't do anything, okay? It just doesn't apply to that particular area. And let's do one final check of that. Let's go to Elementor, let's go to Tools. Let's regenerate our files and data. I find I resort to this a lot more than I used to with Elementor, but anytime you think Elementor might not be doing what it's supposed to do, run this. Maybe even click on that a couple times. Go back to your page, refresh it in the Elementor editor. Okay, let's take a look at this again. Let's go to our global fonts. Yeah, see, that's not doing anything, so you know that doesn't impact the particular elements on our page. All right, so that is that. Let's move on from global fonts. I just showed you the theme style, how we set that up, and that's what I'm going to be working on offline. And now let's take a look at global colors. Since the last video, I worked out the color scheme I'm going to be using for this new starter site. For the starter sites, I like to keep the colors really basic and not get too crazy because, when a customer purchases them, chances are they're going to want to change it all anyway. So I try to keep it basic for them so they don't have a ton of places that they need to change the colors, or a ton of colors to change, that is. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to punch in these colors together. I'll show you how I do that. Okay, so we're going to go back to our home page here, pull up our site settings, and we're going to go to global colors. Now for primary, you can leave, I sometimes just leave it the name primary. You can change this obviously to whatever you want. So I just make these my shade of black that I prefer to work with for accessibility reasons. Working with the hex code 111 is more accessible than just say 000, straight black. So that's a little pro tip for you there. So I usually just set all of these to that color as far as the primary, secondary, and text. And then I drop down into my accent. If you've ever used MyListing before, you know what an accent color does. We'll get into that later. Let's see here. So my accent color I picked for this site is this shade of red. All right. The next one I like to do is my accent color hover. So that's going to be my first custom color here. So we're going to click this add color button. And I'm going to type in accents hover. Okay, and then for the color, I'm going to go grab that. What I do for accent hover is I take my accent color and I lighten the color by 10%. So you can find a tool like, there's one I use called Hex Color Tool. You just drop in your hex code and say you want to drop it by 10%. I'll just go ahead and show that to you. Yeah, so you just go over here, you drop in pull in my primary accent color right here. So I've grabbed my accent color, I go in here, I drop it in. There it is, and then by default it has a 10% already, so we're just going to click lighten. There we go, and we're going to grab the 10%. So lightened by 10%, we're going to grab this and drop it right in here. All right, so just like that, we have our accent hover. So like, let's say a button is our accent color. As soon as you hover over that button, it's going to lighten by 10%. So pretty easy stuff. Okay, next I'm going to grab, let's see, white, we know what that is. I'm going to grab my gray color here. Okay, I'll go ahead and put white in here. Next up is my gray. This is like a light gray color that I use on every site for the most part. What's next? Light borders is CCC. All right, next up is light borders. This is any elements that have like just a faint border to them. Okay, so that's that. And then the last one we'll do for now is pop-up overlay. So anytime an overlay from a pop-up comes up, I'm going to make it this color. So what this is it's my primary color, my 111. It's like a shade of black with a 45% transparency. So that's what that, you just end the hex code and the number of transparency you want. So 4 or 5. Okay, we're going to save our global colors. All right, so now we have that set up. Let's say we wanted to make this H1 that color. We can either assign it manually as a one-off thing, or we go back into our site settings and we go to typography, and we're going to set that using global style. So here's our H1. It's kind of covered by my video thing there. We click color, and then we select our accent color. By default, it's going to get our primary color, which is what I want here. Okay, so but that's how you would set that. If you wanted your H2 to have your accent, there you go. So that would flow everywhere on your site where you have that H2 heading widget. Okay, really cool stuff. If you want to change the body text color to red, I don't know why you would do that, but you could. There you go. So whatever you set here, it's going to be, again, global across your site automatically. And even whatever you set here, you can then go in and override that on a per just individual basis. I'm not sure why that changed to red, but or changed to green. Sorry, that was weird. Go into here. There we go. So we just overrode our global styling for that one particular element. All right, so let's go back to our template, see where we're at here. I think that's good. I think we're going to call it there, and then yeah, I think we're going to call it there. That's a good length of a video in case I need to swap another one in its place, but I don't think I will. That's pretty good stuff. I just wanted to show you how from the previous video that we actually handle this on the site. Yeah, all right. I will jump off here and we will get to the next video. Okay, thank you.